What's good, basketball family? Welcome back to the channel. If you live for women's college hoops, late-night Big Ten drama, and the stories that shake a season, you're in the right place. Before we get into this one, do me a quick favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and drop a comment right now with your thoughts, because this story is heavy, emotional, and bigger than just one game. One possession. One step. 1 second, and Iowa's entire season felt like it shifted. Senior guard Taylor McCabe went down just moments after tip-off, and the reaction from head coach Jan Jensen said everything. When a coach says she's really sick over an injury, you know this isn't just basketball, this is personal. The arena was buzzing long before tip-off. Carver-Hawkeye Arena had that familiar electricity, the kind that settles into your chest and reminds you why Big Ten basketball nights feel heavier, louder, more meaningful. Iowa fans packed the seats expecting a statement game. Ohio State was in town, ranked, confident, and dangerous. This wasn't just another conference matchup. It was a measuring stick, a chance for Iowa to show where it truly stood in a new era under head coach Jan Jensen. But seconds into the game, everything changed. The ball had barely moved when Taylor McCabe planted her foot on defense. There was no contact, no collision, no warning. One routine step turned into disaster. Her left knee buckled, and she went down instantly, clutching her leg. The sound inside the arena vanished. The silence wasn't confusion, it was recognition. Everyone watching knew this wasn't minor. Trainers rushed onto the floor as players backed away, hands on hips, faces tight with concern. Ohio State players knelt nearby in respect. Iowa teammates stood frozen, trying to stay composed while fear crept in. McCabe stayed down longer than anyone wanted. When she finally sat up, her expression told the story before any diagnosis ever could. She couldn't walk off on her own. As McCabe was helped toward the tunnel, the crowd rose to its feet, applauding not out of celebration, but out of heartbreak and support. A senior guard, a leader, someone who had poured years into the program, leaving the court just seconds into one of the biggest games of the season. On the sideline, Jan Jensen stood still, watching it unfold. This was her program now. Her first season leading Iowa after years as an assistant. She had preached joy, toughness, and togetherness. But no coaching philosophy prepares you for seeing a senior go down like that, especially in a non-contact situation every basketball lifer fears. The game had to go on. Iowa regrouped in real time. Shock turned into urgency. Possessions became sharper, cuts more decisive, defense more aggressive. Freshman Addie Deal stepped into the moment with fearless confidence, scoring at will and igniting the crowd. Iowa surged past Ohio State, eventually pulling away for a dominant 91-70 win that looked impressive on paper. But nobody inside Carver-Hawkeye was celebrating the way they normally would, because everyone knew the truth. The scoreboard didn't matter. The rankings didn't matter. The story of the night had already been written in the opening seconds. Everything else felt secondary. After the game, Jan Jensen addressed the media, and the emotion in her voice cut through the usual post-game routine. Coaches are trained to stay guarded, to avoid speculation, to keep answers measured. Jensen didn't hide how she felt. She said she was really sick about Taylor McCabe's injury. Not disappointed. Not just concerned. Sick. It was a raw, human response, one that revealed how deeply this moment hit. Jensen confirmed McCabe would undergo an MRI to determine the severity of the injury. There was no timeline. No reassurance. Just uncertainty. She also admitted it was very unlikely McCabe would travel with the team for upcoming West Coast games against USC and UCLA. The implication was clear. This could be serious. Taylor McCabe may not always grab headlines, but within Iowa's system, her value is undeniable. She spaces the floor, hits timely shots, understands defensive rotations, and brings steadiness when the game gets chaotic. More importantly, she's a senior. She understands the culture, the expectations, and the pressure that comes with wearing an Iowa jersey. Seniors anchor teams. They are the emotional backbone, the steady voice in the locker room, the bridge between coaches and younger players. When a senior goes down, it shakes more than just the rotation, it shakes belief, rhythm, and emotional balance. This injury also arrives at a pivotal time for Iowa. The program is redefining itself after the departure of one of the most iconic players in women's basketball history. Life after Caitlin Clark was never going to be easy. Scoring responsibilities shifted. Leadership became collective. Identity had to be rebuilt. Jan Jensen embraced that challenge, spreading responsibility across the roster and emphasizing depth. The team had responded well, but losing McCabe threatens that delicate balance. Non-contact knee injuries are the nightmare scenario for athletes and coaches alike. They come without warning and often bring long recoveries. Until MRI results are known, everything remains speculation, but players and coaches understand the possibilities, and none of them are simple or quick. Inside the locker room, emotions were mixed. Pride in the win existed, but it was overshadowed by concern. Quiet conversations replaced celebration. Eyes drifted toward the training staff. Teammates checked phones, hoping for good news that hadn't arrived yet. Injuries don't just affect minutes. They affect confidence. Players become more cautious. Rotations feel less familiar. The season suddenly feels fragile. Jan Jensen understands that reality. She also understands that moments like this define teams. Some fracture. Others rally. How Iowa responds now, emotionally and competitively, will shape the rest of the season. Addie Deal's breakout performance was encouraging, but expectations shift quickly. Younger players will be asked to grow faster. Veterans will need to lead louder. Jensen will be tested not just as a tactician, but as a leader guiding her team through adversity in her first year at the helm. Leadership isn't proven when everything goes right. It's proven when something goes wrong. For Taylor McCabe, the road ahead is uncertain. Instead of shoot-arounds and film sessions, there are medical exams, rehab rooms, and waiting. For a senior, the possibility that time is slipping away makes the pain heavier than any physical injury. For Jan Jensen, this moment is deeply personal. She didn't just inherit a roster, she inherited responsibility for every player's journey. When she says she's sick about McCabe's injury, it's because she knows what this moment could mean for a senior's final chapter. Basketball can be cruel. One step can change everything. As Iowa prepares for the challenges ahead, questions linger. Will McCabe return this season? How long will she be out? Can Iowa maintain its momentum without her presence? And how will this adversity shape Jan Jensen's first season as head coach? Those answers will come with time. But on that night in Iowa City, the game delivered its harshest reminder. No matter how loud the crowd, no matter how big the moment, no matter how prepared you think you are, it only takes 1 second to change the entire story.